Salilo Makudir. We're going to be unpacking a very, very important judgment that could have major implications for municipalities, regulators, and you and I, electricity consumers across South Africa. The High Court has ruled that Nersa's process for approving municipal electricity tariff hikes is unconstitutional, finding that it failed to require cost of supply studies and lacked adequate public participation. In effect, millions of households and businesses may have been subject to electricity tariffs that were not only properly justified, but yeah, they were unconstitutional. And I'm joined now by energy expert ZakheleMadela to help us interpret what this means for you and I, the consumers. What does it mean for the municipalities and just for the broader energy sector here in South Africa? Zakhele, good morning. Thank you so much for joining us here on Salam Media. Really appreciate you giving us your time.
Good morning, how are you?
I'm well, thanks. Let's jump right into it. If you could just quickly summarize for us some of the key elements of the court's findings in this recent judgment against Nersa and these now coined unconstitutional electricity hikes.
Let me first be honest. I'm not really a person who's an expert on tariffs themselves. The only thing I can say is that I'm privy to the fact that whatever the calculations have been between Nersa and Eskom has been very lenient with the consumers. What tends to happen is that they have a formula that takes into account a couple of things. While that formula takes into account a couple of things, Eskom is always on the side of the consumer. But the input cost on the electricity production on the side of Eskom, they are so high in such a way that between themselves, as they try to lower the cost to the consumer, they're not sticking to the formula itself as it is, because there is this thing that says there's a cost passed through, meaning that the cost of all of this must be passed through to the consumer. So at the heart of this, you will find that there's always been a lack of the implementation of the very same rules that they agreed to, which are always jeopardizing the consumer. So I'm not privy to the actual case itself, but I do know that this case is not going to go away, because every time Eskom takes it to the next court, Eskom is always going to win. I'm only privy to the fact that Eskom has always been on the side of the consumer. Trust me, we don't want to pay a high tariff, but Eskom is always on the side of the consumer.
But the question, Zakhele, would be, consumers are right now saying, the electricity prices are at an unprecedented place. It's getting really, really expensive to afford electricity for many South Africans. How is it then? Is Eskom on the side of the consumer when a lot of people are saying they can't afford electricity right now?
Let me give you an example. Eskom has got three major divisions. They've got generation, they've got transmission, and then they've got distribution. So most part of transmission is paid off. Eskom expenses are very little on transmission. The distribution, Eskom shares it with the municipalities. People must go to the Eskom financial statement and see there how much does it cost for Eskom to produce electricity. Trust me, it costs Eskom about 80 cents a kilowatt hour to produce electricity from coal and nuclear and all these other. That's an average cost for electricity, for Eskom to produce electricity. Eskom would make a lot of money if it charges R1.10 a kilowatt hour. But that's not what we are being charged. We are charged an average of R2.58. There's all these middlemen, including the municipalities themselves. The problem is there's no honesty. There's a lack of honesty in this country. There's a company called Blue Label. It has so much money that it has even bought Cell C. Yet it doesn't produce a single kilowatt of electricity, but the municipalities are using this company for the billing. There's there's about 4 to 5 or 7 middlemen between ESCOM and what we pay for the municipality. ESCOM does want to give the electricity to the municipality for 1 rand 10 cents a kilowatt hour, so that the municipality sells that electricity to you for 1 rand 50 cents a kilowatt hour. But that's not what is happening. There's a lack of truth. I wish I was working for ESCOM. So ESCOM's electricity is not expensive. What is expensive is all these middlemen that
Mm,
are part of this value chain.
mm,
The
mm, mm,
financials of the financials of ESCOM they depict it. People must look into their electricity bill, how much they pay per kilowatt hour. They must look at what ESCOM produced the electricity for. They must go to ESCOM and ask them, how much a kilowatt hour did you sell this electricity to the municipality or the third party agent? ESCOM will give you very nice figures. It's all these middlemen.
mm. No, I think that's a very, very important point to note because a lot of consumers are now blaming Eskom for the high electricity prices because we're not in the know when it comes to all of the other middlemen that you're mentioning that ultimately lead to electricity prices being this high. Let's wrap it up with this judgment. How should people interpret it? Is it going to see a change in how the cost of electricity is being constructed and is being presented to consumers at the end of the day? Are South Africans going to see and feel the effects of this judgment against Nersa?
Again, I think South Africans must demand the real answers. It's all good for us to say ESCOM and the municipalities are overcharging us and the court has ruled in favor of the consumers. Ruled on what? We must look into this. In fact, we must have a friendly relationship with ESCOM to say, ESCOM, what does all of this mean? I don't have the answers.
Mm,
I can give you an example. I have a problem with us buying a in 2018, or no, around 2016, 100 rand would buy you 101 units. Today, 100 rand only buys you about 34 units. The problem in this country, we are leaderless now. Everybody do as they please. There is no truth in the case itself.
mm,
There is everything that's got to do with, there are so many hidden people that are not being made to account. Maybe what we should do, because this is not a good interview for me, you must invite me in time. I'll look at the formula. I will tell you in the formula who is guilty. We all know it's not ESCOM. It's definitely not ESCOM. It's not Nersa. It's
mm,
all these middlemen, IPPs. It's all the people that are riding at the people who don't produce electricity. ESCOM produce electricity very cheap. They want to sell it to us very cheap. Remove all these middlemen. Just remove them, and then we will have an affordable electricity because they were not there in 2016. They were not there in 2014.
mm, No, most definitely. ZakheleMadela, thank you so much for joining us. And yeah, I think the producer must get in touch with you so that we get a sense of how exactly is the price of electricity calculated. What's the formula that ultimately see us paying what we're currently paying today, which for many South Africans is very, very expensive and they can't afford it. But we're going to leave it there for now. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. Bye.
There you go. ZakheleMadela, energy expert, helping us unpack what the court's ruling against Nersa means for municipalities, regulators, and electricity users across the country. But I think it just sends a clear message that, as Zakhele mentioned, there's issues around transparency, around legality, and to be honest, fairness when it comes to how electricity prices are set in the country. And as we continue to grapple with rising costs and somewhat unstable supply of this electricity that we pay for, the focus now should turn to the municipalities. It should turn to ESCOM so that we get to understand and get a sense of what we're actually paying for as consumers and who gets to get the chunk of the profit because it's clearly not ESCOM because they're always looking for bailouts from government. But in a short summary, the Pretoria High Court has declared NERSA's current process of approving municipal electricity tariff hikes unconstitutional. They're ruling that it violates key provisions of the Electricity Regulation Act and lacks proper cost of supply studies and public participation. So, in the most simplest of terms, this means that many tariff hikes, many tariff increases across the country may have been unlawfully approved, potentially affecting millions and millions of South Africans, all of us, now being faced with steep electricity price hikes. And the judgment compels right now Nersa and municipalities to overhaul how tariffs are calculated, justified, and communicated to the public. I think can be accepted. It marks a major turning point for energy governance and accountability in South Africa, and hopefully it all translate to South Africans saving money, because electricity is becoming an expensive commodity that many of us are finding it hard to afford. We come to the end of this interview. We're going to take a quick break. News and Views continues after this.